Hello fellow Misfortunates. Tristana has been somewhat off meta for the last couple patches, but that is mainly because every ADC player was all over the new lethal tempo. I get it, it's new, it's exciting, and Tristana doesn't use it well, so people kinda forgot about her. But if you want to climb fast, playing Tristana is actually a very interesting option for you, so let me explain why. You know, the current public opinion on AD carries in general is extremely negative these days. Many people have the impression that the role would be unrewarding even if you play it almost flawlessly. They say your impact wouldn't be high enough, you couldn't snowball your lead, and even if you are fed, you still couldn't match a fed solo laner or jungler. And of course, League of Legends is a team game and AD carries excel in team fighting, not in dueling. So naturally, ADC players will feel rather bad when they try to duel actual duelist champions like Zed and Rengar. An AD carry's job is to follow up on their allies' engages and teamfights with their consistent auto-attack damage, so the role is rather reactive by design. When you play Tristana, however, the whole experience is very different. There is a reason why actual Smurf players love to pick this champion. There is a reason why Tristana allows them to carry much harder than any other marksman. Unlike most AD carries, Tristana doesn't promote a reactive playstyle, but instead being proactive. Tristana's kit is not as much designed to capitalize on your allies' success, but rather to hard punish your enemies' mistakes. In League of Legends, even if you are much better than your opponents, you still need to play tons of games to climb over time. It's simply the nature of a 5 vs 5 game, since there's a total of 10 people influencing the outcome of any match. In purely skill-based 1v1 games like chess or Super Smash Bros, you will beat weaker opponents pretty much every single time, since it is only you and them. And this is truly at the core of why playing AD carries can sometimes feel very unrewarding. When all your moves have to be reactive rather than proactive, the game feels much more out of your control. Tristana, however, while still being an AD carry and a good team fighter, is first and foremost a great duelist. She is an outstanding 1v1 champion and has all the tools and abilities to let you capitalize on your opponent's lack of skill. If you feel hard stuck, if you feel like you don't belong in the elo bracket in which you are currently placed, Tristana is the best champion for you to change that. The reason for this is, of course, her enormous burst damage in combination with her long-range engage. With most other marksmen, you have to hope your support takes notice when the enemy is out of position. In an ideal world, they run at them to lock them down with their crowd control so you can follow up and kill them. When your support doesn't notice the enemy's mistake, or simply messes up their combo, then you are just out of luck. With Tristana, on the other hand, it is you who is making that call. You jump in, full combo them with your E-spell, and then safely jump out again after scoring that kill. To show you exactly how this plays out in practice, let's have a look at this ranked game here. I cannot know for sure, but I am assuming that this Tristana is in fact a Smurf, since her account is currently placed in Platinum 2, while most other people in this lobby are mid-diamond. And a quick reminder, if this player finds enough punishable mistakes to Smurf in a diamond lobby, then this will be even easier in lower elo brackets. The lane matchup is Blitzcrank Tristana versus Lux Caitlyn, so blue team needs to be very careful not to take too much poke damage. Red team, however, needs to be very careful not to take all-in fights, because they are both immobile and both very squishy. Caitlyn actually gets grabbed right away, and while most bot laners cannot really capitalize on a Blitzcrank hook level 1, Tristana is able to follow up with massive burst damage due to her attack speed from Hail of Blades. This short exchange gives Tristana and Blitzcrank lane priority for the moment, and Lux makes the grave mistake of not respecting that. The hook into Tristana's E with Hail of Blades is too much for her and she dies instantly. Yes, Blitzcrank did a good job there, but even if he didn't walk up, Tristana would have just taken one more minion to hit level 2 and done it herself. Now, just because Tristana can use her jump to engage herself, that doesn't mean she has to. It is still an extremely strong tool you can use to follow up on your allies' engages, essentially giving you the best of both worlds. Tristana is not merely a duelist, but still a good team fighter. Here, the allied Nunu rolls in from the river, and Tristana uses her jump not simply to follow up, but also to proactively dodge any potential skill shots Lux might be throwing at her. This is a really good habit you should get into, especially since killing that Lux will reset your jump cooldown anyway. Just extra safety for you with 0 drawbacks. And because you are so extremely safe in the early game while still having high damage, the rule of thumb is that you should always be looking to participate in early skirmishes as much as possible. Tristana's mid-game is slightly on the weaker side, so you need to seize the opportunity to keep the snowball rolling. This fight near the river is a great example. First and foremost, you should never be afraid to just jump straight in when you know you will get a jump reset anyway. This is the position you want to be in, and you can then decide whether it is best to keep jumping deeper, or to jump out again, or to simply hold on to your jump just in case. The last option is generally speaking the safest, preventing you from making a heat of the moment mistake. But about the whole thing on being proactive. Click the subscribe button and look at this situation. Tristana notices that Lux is slightly too far away from her tower and stuck in the cast animation of her spells. She capitalizes on that positioning mistake instantly and goes all in. Blitzcrank did nothing there, and even without Nunu, Lux was forced to burn her flash, so Tristana can't just finish her with ult. You see the enemy's mistakes, and Tristana allows you to properly punish these mistakes. Now your enemies are low health under tower and have to make a choice. Do they stay and risk getting dived, or do they forfeit the wave and retreat? Well, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if they based voluntarily or not, your response is the same. You make use of Tristana's great wave clear, get the minions under tower, and then recall. And the more items you've bought, the safer your enemy has to play. If they fail to realize this, make sure to let them know. When you have your R, you don't even need to connect your W. 3 Hail of Blades attacks in combination with ult are enough to get a second jump ready. Not even a Caitlyn with her net can escape from that. Yes, Tristana is quite fed now, but for most marksman champions this wouldn't change the way they play. You would still need to respect an opposing Jax, for example, since he can just outmaneuver you. Tristana is a different kind of beast though. You simply take your rocket jump and shove it down everyone's throat. It has a range of 900 units and you get multiple of these per fight. As long as you don't jump straight into a stun or into chain CC, your enemies will not be able to avoid you stat checking them. Their only play here would be to not position in such a greedy way, but this is the nasty thing about positioning mistakes. When you realize you've made one, it is already far too late to fix it. But yeah, enemy team dead, you take the closest objective, you know the drill. However, we are technically still in lane phase, mind you, so death timers are quite low. The enemy is still slightly too late to stop Dragon, and they simply get entangled in this now unnecessary fight over nothing. And these rocket jumps are just way too nasty. You get reset after reset from takedowns and from your E. Before the enemies know it, they are overextended again and Tristana shows zero mercy. And the room for error you have, not only with your jump, but also due to your items, is quite impressive as well. Despite getting caught by Lux Q, no one is able to take Tristana down. Even worse for the opponent, when you see fit, you can just re-enter the fight, no problem. In any case, when you finally take down that tower, lane phase ends and the mid-game can begin. Since all the outer towers have already been destroyed, Tristana follows her jungler into the bot lane again to make a play with Rift Herald. Getting more pressure in the bot lane sets blue team up for the next spawning dragon, since the lane will then be pushed out very far. And indeed, dragon is completely free for blue team as they were able to get full vision control in bot side after taking that tier 2 tower. You know, take the free stuff, win the game. From here, Tristana simply pushes the lane past river and then roams towards her team. This standard macro play gives you the most options and opportunities without compromising your farm. And opportunity does present herself when Caitlyn face checks the Chemtech zone in her jungle. These stealth areas are so brutal when you are losing because you have no way to re-establish vision control there ever, and the enemy can always trap you. Obvious mistake by Caitlyn though, which means an easy punish for Tristana. Now blue team can take their numbers advantage and use it to destroy the second mid lane tower before Caitlyn can respawn. Red team is clearly tilted since they are playing more and more carelessly when in reality they should be turtling to provoke blue team into a bad tower dive. This is obviously no longer a potential out for the losing team when they merely keep getting picked off one by one. At level 13, Tristana's attack range is already at 621, which is way above average, so sieging would actually be a viable strategy here. However, blue team decides to not take the risk and instead reset to convert their gold advantage into an even bigger item advantage. Oh, and could we take a moment to appreciate how Tristana's W is enough to force out the 90 seconds cooldown Gale Force active? Caitlyn simply can't catch a break. Now blue team are wisely using their advantage to pressure Baron, which is much less risky than diving an inhibitor tower. They are either getting Baron for free here, or forcing red team to walk away from the safety of their towers and into the choke points near the Baron pit. The camp tank zones are only making this worse for them, by the way. Once you have Baron in addition to your massive item advantage, cracking open the opponent's base is a piece of cake. So yeah, getting fed is nice, but it won't help you much if you spend your gold on bad items, or if you sabotage yourself by choosing incorrect runes. But don't worry, just copy the following setups and you will be fine. For runes, you want Hail of Blades, Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection and Ravenous Hunter with Triumph and Legend Bloodlines secondary. Your shards are Attack Speed, Adaptive Force and one of the resistance shards corresponding to your lane opponent's primary damage type. Hail of Blades is by far the best keystone for Tristana, and it is not even close. You've already seen how crucial it is that you get your all-in combo off, and Hail of Blades makes it that much more consistent for you. To fully stack your E, you need to connect with 4 attacks and/or spells. This means that if you cast your E while jumping on top of them, your jump will already provide the first stack, and then the 3 autos from Hail of Blades are exactly enough to finish the combo. Without jump, you simply cast E, then use your Hail of Blades autos, and then cast your ult for your combo finisher. Anyway, no other keystone can give you that much value when playing Tristana. Taste of Blood is great for lane, because with merely 525 range at level 1, you are quite vulnerable to poke champions. It triggers off of everything, so even if you just deal some chip damage to the enemy with your explosive shot passive, Taste of Blood will start healing you. Eyeball Collection is free attack damage, and since you build crit items and attack speed, getting more AD is obviously extremely important. Ravenous Hunter and Legend Bloodline are your sources of late game healing, so you don't have to buy any lifesteal with items if the matchup allows you to be more offensive. Now, I recommend Triumph for your last rune slot, since this rune perfectly synergizes with your jump resets and allows you to simply keep going after every takedown. The healing is super clutch in these situations, and even more so during the early game where you want to start snowballing. However, you could also go for Cutdown instead if you would rather have some more damage in late game teamfights. I've even seen some people go with Presence of Mind to have guaranteed mana for additional jumps. It's up to you, really. As far as items are concerned, you always want to get Berserker's Greaves, Kraken Slayer and Phantom Dancer in this exact order. Kraken Slayer's damage is crazy, and it will always trigger at least once in your Hail of Blades combo. Phantom Dancer complements that because it will stack up during your all-in, allowing for great kiting and high damage with Kraken Slayer, which is important should your target survive your initial burst damage. Also, these items grant you a lot of mid and late game teamfighting power even after your keystone is put on cooldown. At a certain point, there won't be any need for you to jump forward to deal huge damage, but instead you can use your massive range from your passive and kite everyone around with Phantom Dancer's movement speed. After your core build, you have several options. Kraken plus PD is more than enough damage generally speaking, so if you are getting threatened by fed assassins or mages, you can already start opting for more defensive items at this point. Bloodthirster, Guardian Angel, Scimitar or even Wit's End are great choices for this. In combination with your jump and your self-peeling ultimate, these defensive tech options will keep you relevant regardless of how fed the opposing solo laners are. In all other cases though, feel free to buy the hyper-offensive items of Lord Dominic's Regards and Infinity Edge. The value of these items should be rather self-explanatory, especially when you take into consideration that your explosive shot damage directly scales with critical strike and Infinity Edge's passive. This scaling is also the reason why you should never ever buy Ginzo's Rageblade on Tristana. Rageblade completely removes your explosive shot's crit scaling, resulting in a weak item build. Now, one of the most reliable ways to improve your Tristana gameplay is to simply copy the playstyles from the best Tristana players in the world. So if you want to see how Tristana is played on a professional level, you can watch a full pro player analysis by clicking the link on your screen right there.